Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County's virtual programs. My name is Mary, and I'm one of the education specialists. Today, we're continuing our tour to explore the signage along the Butterfly Loop, which is part of the SWA Greenway Trail System. So let's head out there.
All right, so we're out hiking here on the Butterfly Loop and have passed some really informative signs along the way. And as we come around this curve, we find my absolute favorite sign out here called Changing Perspectives. We're going to start out with this quote by John Muir that you can see on the sign. When one is alone at night in the depths of these woods, the stillness is at once awful and sublime. Every leaf seems to speak. If you've never heard of John Muir or don't know that much about him, I highly recommend picking up some of his books to read. He was born in Scotland, raised in Wisconsin, and as he grew up, he fell more in love with nature and traveling, just like me. He's published more than 300 articles and 10 major books about his travels and his naturalist philosophies. That quote can be found in this book, which I actually brought with me, called John of the Mountains, The Unpublished Journals of John Muir. He was a huge influence in the creation of Yellowstone National Park and played an immense role in the establishment of other national parks like Sequoia, Mount Rainier, Petrified Forest, and the Grand Canyon. He's even referred to as the father of our national park system, and him and his supporters founded the Sierra Club in 1892. After President Theodore Roosevelt read his book, called Our National Parks, he met with Muir at Yellowstone in 1903, and the two of them together laid the foundation of Roosevelt's innovative and notable conservation programs. John Muir is considered one of the country's most famous and influential naturalists and conservationists. His writings and philosophies are inspirational and gear people towards just being present in the world around us, changing the way people view our natural world. And that is a great segue into the rest of this sign. So first we're going to talk about scientists. Sometimes you need to look at nature through different lenses to be fully able to understand it. So for example, take these scientists here. They have so many different levels and ways they can examine and learn about the natural world around them. They can listen and hear birds like the one you just heard. They can study the big picture, like the entire forest ecosystem, how organisms relate to each other. So, we're going to be a scientist here for a second. If you don't have to look far to find things like this, but if you look at this tree, there's stuff called lichens, and this one in the distance there has some really interesting ferns living on it called shoestring ferns. So things like that, scientists can study. They can see how the entire ecosystem works, how things work together. Or they can focus on more specific things, like a single species of plants or animals, and learn everything they possibly can about them. So as we were walking up here, I happened to notice this apple snail that was sitting here, and it's actually just an empty shell. But scientists can study, a single species in order to see what type of role it plays in the ecosystem, how it affects other organisms. Okay, so then we're going to change our perspective to look through the lens of a photographer. Photographers are similar to scientists in that they can focus on different details in nature to convey various emotions. The way light moves through the trees in the early morning. So right now, we take a look at the light. It's kind of gray and gloomy and misty, but again, that's going to convey different emotions than if it was bright and sunny and that was streaming through the trees. They can look at little things like patterns or reflections in nature. So let's take a look around, and over here we can find some fungus growing on this dead tree, and that has some pretty neat patterns in it, those dots and stripes and different colors. So all sorts of things like that photographers can focus on, that's going to convey those different emotions. They can portray really intimate connections with nature through their pictures and get people to care about conservation issues. And then looking at nature through the eyes of animals. This sign specifically mentions owls, but you can use any animal. Deer, our otters that we have around here, coyotes, our alligators. How do they see this particular habitat? They look for things like safety and food and maybe other animals of the same kind. Obviously, they're going to use this space differently than us. So my challenge to you is to come out to our trails, or any nearby green space really. That could even be your very own backyard. But if you come out here, take your time. Stop and take a rest at one of the benches, like this one right here that's conveniently located by one of our signs, or this one. This is one of my favorites to stop at and chat with friends while looking out over the cypress swamp, or even relax at the Cheeky Hut for a while, or just stop and listen along the path. You'll be amazed at all the sounds you hear: birds, frogs, insects, and even our renewable energy facilities in the distance. Take the time to think about how others view this space and the importance of habitats just like this.
Thank you again for watching, and if you haven't, I hope you get to visit our trails soon to explore them for yourselves. Remember to tune in the rest of the week at 11 a.m. to check out the rest of this week's educational programs, or you can visit swa.org/education to see what's coming up or any videos that you may have missed. Have a great day.